Hey everybody, it's me, Aggie. I think I might be like 1 minute early. And hello. I'm here to teach you the fall pumpkin truck painting. And let's see if I can flip this around so you can read it. My name is Aggie. Oh, wrong way. On Facebook, I'm Artist Heart Studio, but my business name is Agnes Friedlander Art Studio on all the social medias. And I'm an artist. I love to paint and I love to do glass and resin art. I discovered that a few years ago and just brings me so much joy to do that. But my painting is still my first passion. I don't have anybody here with me yet and I'm blathering on and on. So I'm gonna wait and see if anybody shows up. I'm just getting myself all set up. I've got my a 12 by 12 canvas. Somebody's here, yay. So when you hop on, please say hello. My name is Aggie. Nice to have you here. So I've got a 12 by 12 canvas panel. I'm using this, hey Deb. It's a little more rigid because I might add some embellishments to this. I might decide to add some glass and resin since I've been doing that on everything lately. But of course you can use canvas, you can use paper. You don't have to do it on a 12 by 12. Use what you have, that's what I always say. And you don't have to use my exact kinds of paints or the exact colors that I'm using. I did give Bonnie a PDF. I had to convert it into PNG files to print out. But this is included. It does have some suggested colors on here. I don't have these exact colors today, but it's all right. I'll talk you through it. And yeah, I'm going to get started in just a couple of minutes. Hopefully a few more people will hop in here. But let me turn the camera down and show you what I've got. Are you going to be painting with me today, Deb? You don't have to. You can certainly watch. And by the way, let me just say, all of this is uploaded. It's already on YouTube. Do I have that on here? I sure hope I do. Well, what you could do is you could go to my link tree. If you download this, and I'll try and remember to attach this on the video. You probably got it from Bonnie already. If you go to my link tree, it's got all my social media links, and you'll see that my YouTube link is in there. All of these videos are on YouTube for you. So that's nice. So if you miss anything today, just know that you can go watch it all on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, which is also Agnes Friedlander Art Studio. All right, so I'm going to turn the camera down and get started. I should be able to see comments. I don't know, maybe not. Facebook has been a little bit weird about that. But, oh, I do see comments. Hi, Diane. Thanks for saying hi. So, yes, comments. Yay. So here's the sample painting. I love this painting. And, you know, you can change it. You can leave the pumpkins out that are at the bottom. You can put different things in the truck. You could put watermelons in there, or hey, even a Christmas tree. You could make it a red truck with a green Christmas tree in it, you know, change it for whatever season. So we used fall colors, and that's what I'm going to talk you through today. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to turn the camera down now. So first I'm going to flop it back that way. And now we're this way, and we should be good, right? Yeah, okay. So anytime you want me to show the sample painting again, just tell me, or any questions at all, just pop them in the chat there. I'm happy to answer any questions. We'll see how far we get with painting this today. Like I said, you can always go watch all these videos on YouTube if we don't get that far. I'm going to try and keep this to 45 minutes, hour max. I'm known to talk too much, so I may not finish the painting, but hey, that's okay. You can go watch the videos to finish it, right? So I've got paper towels. I like the blue shop towels. I've got a pencil with an eraser, a ruler. You don't have to have a ruler. Sharpies, did you know that you can use a Sharpie to draw the lines in, and it'll bleed through the acrylic paint, which can be a good or a bad thing depending on how you look at it. In this case, we've got black outlines on the sample, so why not? So I got two Sharpies because, you know, inevitably as you're using a Sharpie, it starts to dry out. So I always grab two. I've got a 3/4 inch flat brush. I like a lot of brushes. I don't really need this. I use this for splattering, but I don't really need the fan brush. I've got a liner brush, also known as a rigger. I've got that's a 3/4 inch. This is a 1/2 inch flat. I also have a 1/4 inch flat. This size is ideal for doing these daubs, these little daubs of color. This is the perfect size for that. Not too big of a brush, or else maybe a round, like a size 8, a nice beefy round. We don't need this. That's a dagger. We don't really need that today. So those are the brushes I'm using, and I get my brushes from Artist Paintbrush. I've been getting them for years from there, and every brush is like a little bit under $3, so it's a very good deal. I used to teach paint parties in person, so I had to have good quality brushes that would stand up, and those really served me very well, and they still serve me. So let's get started. I've got my 12 by 12, and basically the first thing you're going to do is, you know, find the center, which, you know, it's 6, obviously. And we're going to draw this rectangle first. We're going to draw this body of the truck. That rectangle is about 5 inches wide. So I drew 2 lines this way, and then it's about 6 inches long. So, you know, 2 1/4 inches from the top, if you want to know exact measurements. I'm not going to be this precise about everything. And then, so put a tick mark at 2 1/4, another tick mark at 5 3/4 for the hatch door that comes down. And then this bumper is about, I don't know, 1/2 inch wide. Okay, and then just draw that as a rectangle. I like using these Dollar Tree rulers. And then you're going to center the tires. They're directly centered underneath the first rectangle line that you drew, okay? And they're about 1 inch wide. Well, 3/4 inch wide, okay? So that's going to go up and meet to that bumper. This bumper didn't come all the way out quite, but that's okay. So let's just do it like to this. We're going to round that off, bring it out to about here, round it off. Okay, and then we're going to add on the fenders. So the fenders go a little bit taller than the door. So maybe right about here, they're going to come out. Whoa. And just going to do a nice curvy fender. Same thing on this side. Something like that. Later on, we're going to add the mirrors, but we're not going to do that yet. Okay, and then we're going to round off this corner for the top of the cab. I think that's what that's called, right? And then we're going to put a rectangle inside of here, something like this maybe. Doesn't have to be real precise. Don't use the ruler the whole way through, because then it's gonna make you too precise. Okay? And you're able to see the lines. Hi, Diane. I hope you're able to see it pretty well. Let's see, we could even round this a little bit. There's a little tail light right here. Okay, and then we're going to draw our pumpkins in. So this pumpkin, I've got it so that it's not quite... Oh, you know what? First, before I do that, I'm going to put this window in, and it's about like this. kind of a smallish window. And okay, let's put our first pumpkin. I want it to be kind of going into the window a little bit. That just makes things a little more interesting when you overlap like that. I'm going to have this pumpkin kind of hanging out from the trunk. And then let's have another one, real big one right about here maybe. These are some big pumpkins. Here's another really big one. And that stem's going to be going that way. So that looks pretty good, right? We could have another small one right here just for the heck of it, so that we have an odd number. It's always good to be odd. And that's it. That's really all you need to draw. So we're going to get started on our background. Hey, Mary, you can clean up your lines a little bit. More than likely, that's not really going to show. But I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. So it's a little bit, I'm actually smearing the pencil line, and I don't really mind doing that. I'm going to paint over this, all of this anyway. I'm going to round this bumper a little bit more. It was just a little too much there. Okay. So we're going to start with the sky. And so here's my paints. I've got 2 dollops of white, and this is my phthalo blue green shade. So I'm going to add a little bit of burnt sienna to it. So this is phthalo blue green shade. This is phthalo green. Actually, I had Viridian. I didn't have any phthalo green. This is called Violet by Liquitex Basics. And this is called my alizarin crimson hue. Cadmium red light. And this one is cadmium yellow deep, or, you know, any warm yellow is fine. And this is the burnt sienna, and this is Mars black. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my, actually I'm going to grab the biggest brush, the 3/4 inch flat. And I always dip my brush in the water first and wipe it off so that it's not drippy wet. It's just damp. So I'm going to use 2 styrofoam plates. This will be my mixing plate. And I'm going to start with the sky. So I'm going to add the white first. And I'm going to add a little bit of blue. You know, phthalo blue is pretty powerful. And since it's an autumn sky, I actually want to dull it down. So I'm going to dull it down with a tiny bit of burnt sienna. And look how that just knocks it back and it looks a little more wintry. Let's test that out right on here and see what that looks like. I think it looks pretty good. It's probably a little too vivid. Yeah, probably a little bit much. So I'm going to add a little more white. See, you just don't know how it's going to look until you get it on there. So that's why I do that right away. So now I got much lighter. And you know what we could do, we could actually get a little bit lighter. We could have actually outlined the truck. So that's all we need to do for the sky. Bam, we're done. But make sure you can still see that line a little bit. Okay, so there's our sky. Done. Bada bing, bada boom. Now we're going to put in our, you know, this background back here. And it's really burnt sienna and raw sienna, which I don't have out on my palette. So to make raw sienna, I'm just going to use yellow and burnt sienna. maybe a little white, and maybe a little black. Tiny bit of black. A little more brown. It's kind of raw sienna-ish. Okay. So that's going to be up here, the lighter tops of the trees. And I'm just kind of dabbing this on there with it real quick, not giving it too much thought. I notice that if I think about things too much, it just makes me overanalyze. It's not good. So now I'm grabbing a little burnt sienna in my brush, mixing it really well on my plate, and coming in and dabbing around. And I'm going to basically get the colors darker as we go down. I'm kind of scrubbing this in. There's not a lot of paint on my brush. Okay, now let's get a little bit darker. And we're gonna also kind of shift it to the red. So I'm gonna grab this alizarin crimson, and look how pretty that is. And I'm gonna put that down here. Ooh, pretty. I'm going to kind of bring it up to the fender so that the fender pops. Part of the strategy in this, I'm always thinking about the strategy and what I want to make pop. And part of it is that I really want the blue truck to pop. It's a blue-green. And of course, you know, using the color wheel and understanding color, which I advocate very much in my membership, basically teaching you how to use color to your advantage. When you use complementary colors right next to each other, you guys probably know all this. That's how you get colors to really pop. And that's how you make a good piece of art. That's how you make things interesting. And once you get those basic concepts down, it crosses over into everything that you do. Everything starts to look really good once you kind of get that down, you know, get that understanding down of what makes a painting interesting. So I'm going to come back in with a little bit more of this alizarin, which I just love. So I'm not going to make this a really finessed painting like the sample. There just isn't really time. And you know, I don't know that it's really necessary either. I'm going to bring this color down. And I'm basically just blocking this in around my subject, but I don't want to leave a hole in the background. I want to make sure that I get right up to those lines. And this part is the ground, and so it's kind of an odd phenomenon, but to make something look like it's land, you want to use horizontal strokes. So now we're going to get a little bit more crazy with this, and we're going to put in some purple and some, I'm going to turn it this way. It's just easier to do a brush stroke this way. And I'm just kind of letting it flow right now. And I'm turning my brush sideways to get those horizontal streaks, that it's going to make it look like it's the street. I want the foreground, the very front part, to be a little darker. So I've got a little bit of Mars Black in there, blending it up with some purple. And that's probably pretty good right there. I'm just feathering in on the edges just a bit. A little bit of darkness here so that it looks like it's a little bit of shadow happening. Okay, and that's it. So that's going to give that little feeling of depth. you know, like this is coming forward. How am I doing so far? I'm kind of really blowing through this pretty quick. Are you guys, is that okay? You guys picking up on this? Any questions so far? I'm doing a check-in. Hi. So pop any questions in the chat. I'm happy to answer. You know, ask them while I'm here. And remember, you can, I'm rinsing out my brush. I'm going to switch to my 1/2-inch flat brush and start doing the truck now. But now's the time to ask me any questions while I'm here, you guys. All right, so feeling pretty good about that. I could probably, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get the dryer out. Hi, Holly. Welcome. I'm Aggie. I'm your guest instructor today, and I am teaching you how to paint this beautiful fall truck. Sorry, it's flipped the wrong way because I had the camera pointing down. So let me grab the dryer and dry this really quick. Actually, I'm going to use my heat gun. And you know, it's okay to use a heat gun, but you want to make sure that you keep it moving and keep it at least 4 or 5 inches away from your painting. Otherwise, you could have issues. You can make the paint bubble. I've had that happen, where people come up in my class and say, Aggie, what can I do? The paint is bubbled. I'm like, I'm so sorry. There's really nothing we can do. Too much paint on the edge there. I just want it dry around the truck because I want to paint the truck in and show you how you can do some fun shading on the truck. So it doesn't look like there's any questions, so I'm going to turn the camera back down again and keep going. And remember, like I said, you can always go watch all of these videos. They're not full length, all of them, but you can go watch all of these over on my YouTube channel, Agnes Friedlander Art Studio. And I wind up getting paint all over. All right, so let's mix up a really pretty truck green color. I'll probably do it right here. So I've got my 1/2-inch flat, rinsed it out. I'm going to grab this Viridian, okay, and add a bunch of white to it. And I get this beautiful minty green. If you don't get a nice vibrant color, it means you didn't rinse your brush out well enough, and you want to make sure your brush is really super clean because we want this truck to really pop. And sometimes that means you got to really dig down into the ferrule to get that paint out of there. I added a little bit of my phthalo blue. And so with acrylic painting, I like to start with slightly darker colors and add lighter layers on top. It's all about layering. So here we go. I've got a somewhat darker, I added a little bit of that phthalo blue to darken it up just a little bit. Now, if I had put my lines in with a Sharpie, I would be painting right up into that line, but I don't know, I got too excited and went ahead and started painting. Maybe I'll just fill this whole thing in like this real quick. So make sure you get all the way up to that bumper. We're going to paint the bumper on in like a silvery color. Well, we're going to make it black and white to make it look silver. Although you could, if you have silver metallic paint, you could use that too, you know. I love metallic paints. Love, love, love them. So I'm loading my brush up really well to get a nice clean edge. If you don't have enough paint in your brush, if it starts to like drag a little bit, that means you don't have enough paint on your brush, typically. And that just means you need to, you know, load up more paint in there. Okay, I really made that bumper round. Okay, I kind of like the the slightly bluer on this outside edge that I did here. I like that. And you know, you want a little bit of variation when you're painting. You don't want it all one flat color. That's just a little boring. So that's what we talk about in, you know, in most of my lessons. I've been painting all my life, but I mean, I think I really started actively painting for the last, I don't know, I was like semi-retired. I worked in the corporate field as an art director and a graphic designer for 25 years, and mostly in the publishing industry. And then I was laid off with a whole batch of other people. And you know what? It turned out to be a good thing, because I'm like, well, you know what? I'm finally going to pursue what I've always wanted to do, and that was to learn how to paint. So I took all kinds of classes from plein air painters, fine artists, watercolorists, and I like everything. That's the trouble. I like everything. And, but you know, after a while, after a few years of that, I started teaching. And I found out I really love teaching. So then just a few years ago, I started a membership here on Facebook. Actually, 2 years ago only. Sorry, 2 years ago. Now for these warmer areas, we could add a little bit of cool yellow just to kind of change it up a little bit. So this is Cad Yellow Light, but you don't want to add too much of this because it'll make it go lime green. So just a tiny bit, and look how much that changes it. Just a tiny bit of the yellow. But that part looks really good, you know, where you want it to look like the light is kind of hitting it. So we're just doing, you know, some kind of subtle shading in here to make it look a little bit, you know, more interesting and a little more varied. That's what makes a painting worth walking up and looking at, is we want to go get a better look, because we like the colors usually, right? It's all about the color. At least it is for me. So that's probably pretty good. You know, I could totally finesse this and just keep going over it and over it, but you know, I want to try and get as much done on this as I can for this demo for you guys. So I'm going to call that done. And let's see. Oh, so next we're going to paint in the sky. We still have a little bit of sky here. It's kind of gone, but it's a reflection. I'm going to add a tiny bit of water to my brush to stretch this color that I had here. And I'm going to just fill in this window reflection. Great. Okay, so now for the bumper, I want to use, basically, I'm going to make this sky color into a little bit more of a silvery color now, a grayish. So I just added a little Mars Black. And let's see how this looks, this value on here. Not bad. Need a little bit more. Maybe we want a little more contrast. So I'm trying to make it look like chrome, and chrome is high contrast. So I'm going to make it dark across the middle. And let's get the wheels painted in. They're pretty much black. So usually anything that's behind something else, I try to put that in first. So I forgot to do that. And this is why I like my flat brush. I can just, you know, quickly do this stroke like this and the whole thing's done. I think I have one tire wider than the other. So that's, in that case, turn it upside down and you'll see things differently. I'm sharing all my tricks with you guys. I'll have you know. When you turn things upside down, your brain kind of sees things differently, you know, that you wouldn't have seen otherwise. Getting it a little bit darker right there, okay. And the other thing we can do, okay, well, let's get this all filled in first. Well, you know what? No, let's not. Let's use our rigger brush. So here's the thing about painting lines. I know some painters that use like a fluid acrylic paint when they're painting lines, and for good reason, because you need it to flow off your brush really easily. So I'm going to paint some branches, you know, like distant tree branches in there. Oops. I'm notorious for getting, you know, paint all over everything. But so if I've got it nice and thin, then I will be able to, you know, really get nice lines. So I'm just making them all go off the edge. Just loose. Just have fun with it. Don't overthink it. Same thing on this side. And we're going to wind up painting daubs of paint on top of that, so don't worry about it too much. And you can decide if you want pumpkins in the, you know, at the bottom, at the base or not. Totally up to you. All right, so since I've got this on my brush, I'm going to go ahead and kind of outline the bumper in here. And like I say, no judgment, no harm in using a Sharpie marker if you'd rather do that. You can even use a ruler if you really want nice straight lines. I mean, it will kind of give it a mechanical look, which, you know, you may not like as much as you think. But, you know, whatever works. You gotta make it fun, and or else you're not gonna do it. You know, make it work for you. That's my best advice, honestly. The only way to get better at painting, if you're interested in getting better at painting, is honestly just paint. You have to paint. You know, you gotta use your eyes, your hands, your brain. Making these decisions is what makes you improve. You know, it's just experience. It's not necessarily talent. It's, you know, it's a skill you build on. Okay, so let's get the bottom of the, well, you know what? I'm going to continue, I think, with the lines on the truck a little bit. I think it'll help kind of pull it together. And I mean, it's important to have the right brush for this. If you have a nice liner brush, it'll hold enough paint that you don't have to constantly stop and reload. That interrupts the flow of your line, you know, having to constantly go back and reload your brush. It's a little different on that side, but that's okay. Here's my outline of my pumpkin, which I haven't painted in yet. So the outlines really help it come together. And remember what I said, the way to get a good outline is with nice flowy paint. And a good brush. Let's see how that's starting to really come forward. All right, so let's see. Let's do this window. That paint's not quite dry, so that line got a little bit messed up. But that's okay. You know, there's something to be said for it having a hand-painted look. And I like to turn, so excuse me, I like to turn, you know, my paintings so that my hand and my body is completely comfortable at any given, you know, time, because then I'm much more likely to paint a good line. All right. Oh, I think I wound up smearing over here a little bit. Don't know what I touched. But that's gonna happen. All right, so now I'm gonna paint in the rest of this bumper. Maybe I'm gonna switch to this 1/4 inch flat brush. Again, I always dip it in the water first because this is just the perfect size to get in here and complete this bumper. Oh, my paint's a little thick. Yeah, so I have some aquarium gravel that I bought that's white, and I used acrylic paint to paint it yellow, to color my white aquarium gravel yellow. I'll show you. And I'm thinking I want to add that on top of this and pour resin on it, and maybe bits of glass too. That's what we do in my group. And I just love it. Really love it. I've always liked embellishing paintings anyway. I used to do it with like scrapbook paper and things like that. Hey, Bonnie. I used to embellish my paintings with scrapbook paper and, I don't know, stickers, beads, anything I could get my hands on. And I don't know, when I discovered glass and resin, that was it. Well, actually, I didn't hook into it right away. It took a little bit of time because I thought to myself, wow, that's going to require so much supplies. But eventually I just couldn't resist anymore. All right, let's dry these black lines. It's funny, this truck is a lot wider than my my sample truck. It's a wide load. Oh, it's a different version, the fall version. Oh. And don't worry if you get if you smear the paint, we're gonna wind up, I think I'm gonna splatter on here too. Yeah, aren't they? Yeah, the glass is so much, I mean, everybody loves glass sparkles, right? Everybody. A girl loves her sparkle. Okay, so now before you start finessing details, you always want to make sure you get the entire painting painted first, because it's going to affect the way things look. Like I know this is a little too green. Here, let's compare them. Oh, no, you can comment, Holly. I can see I see this comment, so I should be able to see it. So, I mean, you can see the color is more vivid on this. I probably used professional grade paints on this, so it kind of shows you. Craft paint, Liquitex Basics is not a professional grade paint. I'm not here to sell you paint, but there is a difference. But, do that on the pieces that matter for you, and when you get to that point, if you get to that point. Not everybody has to do that. I don't mean to be a paint snob. I am not a paint snob, I swear. All right, but I will say with yellow and orange, a good quality paint makes a difference. If you can only afford to buy one color of professional grade paint, and if you like yellows and oranges, which I love, then buy that color. Buy a really good like golden brand of orange, pyrrole orange. Oh, you've never been taught the color wheel. Is there a video that you suggest? You know what? If you Google it, I'm sure you'll find a bunch of stuff out there. Buy yourself a color wheel. You can get them on Amazon.com, and just start playing with coming up with color schemes for when you do anything that you do. Pick 3 or 4 colors that look really good together and test them out on a swatch and pick what you like. Very often when you put, complements together, you're going to get a beautiful pop. So this is basically green and red. And believe it or not, burnt sienna is considered a red. So no, I don't have a specific video, but I'm sure there's a ton out there, a ton. Oh, I forgot the I forgot the line in here. That's funny. Here, let me sketch it in. But great question. That is a really great question. I don't know if I have one of those on my YouTube channel. I should do that. See, that's why I like being a guest artist. Then you find out what it is that people are looking for. What people, like how can I help people? What are the problems people are having, and what can I help them with? So yeah, great question. I mean, we cover that a lot in my membership. Because, most of the people in my group, they really do want to learn how to paint, and that's the color. Color gets all the glory. Color gets all the credit for everything, but it's really not just about color. It's also about values. And value, every color has a value. Value is just how light or dark a color is. And, we've got this standard 1 through 10. Usually 1 is black, but some people switch it the other way around and make 10 black. But once you start understanding how to use values, that it's not just about color, like here, the reason why this is working, that this looks, has some depth, is because I've got a darker value here at the bottom. And the sky is further away, so it's a much lighter value, and that gives, they call it atmospheric perspective. And it makes all the difference, honestly. I never knew it was called that until I took these, you know, the classes and found out what the lingo is. You don't have to know that lingo by any means, but if you're talking about it with other people, it helps. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to paint in the orange. Now, the thing about oranges and reds is that they are pretty transparent. So, meaning they've got what is called a low tinting strength. So if I were to paint a yellow-orange, which pumpkins are basically yellow-orange, and if I were to paint that on there right now, it wouldn't be as vivid as I want it to be because of the turquoise. So I'm going to use some whiteout. You guys remember whiteout? I'm just going to use white paint to, you know, to mask, so to speak. My white is so thick. And that'll fix that right up. Ooh, have a glob spill. I'm going to show you how to fix a glob spill like that. That's kind of good that that happened. Although you probably know, knowing Bonnie, she taught you how to fix an accident like that. Okay. So, I mean, and that's thick. So what I'm going to do is pick it up. I'm just going to pick it up with my brush. Oh, it is really thick. Get the main thing off of there. And then I'm going to rinse out my brush really well. And I'm going to put a little puddle of water right there to wet that. And then I'm just going to blot it. So I kind of very lightly lifted up that spill, you know. I basically weakened the paint so it won't harden and dry. If you get at it right away, it'll come right up. Let's fix this again. All right, so now we got a nice clean edge. Since we're here, let's fix this. That got a little messed up. Just adding a little bit of highlight here and there. Okay. So this is just a very dry brush right now to get some fun little swipes of texture in there. Okay, now we're gonna be cooking with gas. Yes, I can see comments today. Yes, yes, yes. We can't always see comments, but I'm glad we can see them today. Oops. I don't know why I just did that. So pretty soon I'm going to be ready to put those pumpkins in. And I'm going to come back in and paint the bumper. And then I'm going to add the background dollops of colors. I'm going to probably have to wash my hands because I got quite a mess going here. I hope you guys paint this painting. It's really a fun one. Trucks are not going away. I make jokes about that all the time. You know, we thought the trucks were gonna be a thing, but they're not going away. Apparently we love our trucks. Oh, that doesn't want to dry. All right. So let's see, let's paint a little bit of chrome on our bumper. And I used just a little bit of like blue and a lighter gray. And then, oh, we also need to put in those tail lights. So I'm just going to draw that in with a Sharpie. Okay. And again, I should have painted that in. I should have thought of that before, but that's okay. So I'm going to mask it out because I want this red tail light to really look red. Okay, and then I'm going to take this white paint, add some water to it because I'm going to paint a line now. And anytime you want to paint a line, it needs to really flow readily from your brush, meaning that you probably want to have it a little bit thin. All right. And we can actually do a real highlight here and maybe here and here and here. And maybe even here. I don't know. And oh, I need to paint in my license plate. So you can make a really big license plate if you'd like. I think I'm going to make it, you know, a little bit bigger so that I can have a word in there. Let's see, maybe we'll go a little wider. But this is such a nice size brush, isn't it? Really handy. Okay, and also I forgot our little chrome mirrors. So I'm going to draw that in with a Sharpie. I mean our side mirrors. And we're just going to put a line like this and a circle. Okay, I'm going to try and get it symmetrical here. Okay, and I think I'm just going to paint that in black. I forgot how fun this one is. Oops. I got a little big over there. Of course, it's hard to paint around a round thing with a square brush. So that's why I say, you know, no judgment in grabbing a Sharpie and fixing it. And then I'm going to outline the plate later and put a word on there. Okay, let's see what else. What else? I could probably make this just a little bit darker down here. I love mixing black with alizarin. You get a really beautiful, like, wine color. Okay. So I might even put a little bit of that in my, whoa, grabbed too much black. Wow, I don't know why I grabbed so much black. But anyway, put some of that up here. Just get this a little darker. like a lot of contrast. I think that really helps make a painting look pretty good when you've got that contrast. Oop, went into my truck a little bit. Shouldn't have done that. Okay, so we just gave it a lot more depth there, I think. So that boo-boo, like I said, if I rinse my brush really well, I can lift that out right there where I didn't want. I don't want that there. I don't want that there. And then you have to just dab it really, really lightly to pick up the puddle of paint that remains, you know. Okay, what else? What else? So now we can come in with, let's see if we can, oh, this is still wet. So let's see if we can get a little bit of red. I'm going to use the cadmium red light now. And now it's going to really start to pop this red against the green. See that? I'm going to grab a round brush, dip it in the water. And just start, I need to add a little water to this. And I don't add water unless I really have to. And don't worry about the red going into the black line. It's totally fine. More water. So I'm intentionally putting the red near the truck so that the truck will really pop. And this is also going to soften those black lines that I put in. Fun, fun, fun. Let's bring the red up. And you can make this be whatever colors you like, honestly. So I think now what I want to do is make more of an orange. So just a little bit of red in that warm yellow, and you get this beautiful, you know, and this is going to basically be my pumpkin color too. And maybe I'm going to switch to just yellow. But isn't that fun? You can get really finessey with this and put, you know, perfect little dots. But like I said, I'm not going to make this a real finessey painting. Okay, and then I would do the same thing on the other side. So let's get our pumpkins in here, and then we're gonna basically be done. All right, so I'm gonna use this orange that I mixed. And we're going to make them have some variation in just a second. I'm kind of just putting the base color on all of them to start. And then, of course, when they're totally dry, you just outline them and give them black stems. So we're just about done. Does anybody have any questions? Now would be the time to add them to the chat. So now I'm coming back in and trying to get like maybe just a few paint strokes in the direction of the seams of the pumpkin, how they might actually look. Oh, thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, thank you. Let's see if we can just kind of maybe quickly block in this side with red. I love that alizarin, man. I mean, this is a very, a very red fall scene, but hey, why not? We can use our artistic license. You can even make it purple if you wanted to, right? So I'm going to put red right here so that it's different than the pumpkins. You see my strategy? Wow, that green is really popping now. Okay, and then more of the yellow orange. And then maybe even more yellowy. See, I have to turn so that I have a little bit better control. Okay. All right, all right, all right. What if I added a little white to this yellowy orange? Because sometimes these pumpkins are kind of you know, whitish, right? Maybe this one. And that helps it from turning too pink to add the yellow. Because if you do a lot of, you know, you don't want to do red and white, right? And like I say, if you've got you know, a more professional grade paint, like a golden pyrrole orange, you would not believe the difference you're going to get in that orange versus these colors. You know, it's crazy. Make this one darker here. All right, so you get the idea, right? This one is going to stand out since we put a little bit of that shading on there. Maybe we'll put a little bit more shading down here. And, you know, you can layer your yellow. You can layer a lot more yellow on to get it to look really rich. It's kind of like nail polish, you know, the more layers, the better the color looks. The coverage just gets better and better. So anyway, I'm going to quit rushing through this. And what else do I need to do? Let's see. I need to outline that. Sorry, I'm going over just a few minutes. Let me just outline. Let me get this dry. And show you some final details. Like I say, you can go look at all of this on my YouTube channel. Made a little boo-boo right there. So the thing it needs the most is the outline on the pumpkins. So let's do that. And the outline on the plate. So again, you always want nice flowy paint. If it don't flow, it ain't gonna go. How's that? That's a good saying. Let's see. Bring it over here. That's a really big pumpkin there. Do you say pumpkin or pumpkin? There's something cute about pumpkin. Oh yeah, that makes a huge difference. Even layering a little bit more black on the bottom of the mirror gives it, you know, enough dimension that I don't think I need to do anything else to that mirror. Okay, this guy needs a stem. Hold on. I made that stem a little too fat, but I'm not gonna fret over it. Fix this line. Okay, outline this. And what word should we have on here? Fall? I'll leave it blank. Need to paint this light in red, but I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you so much for having me, Bonnie. I really enjoyed this. Let's see, what else do I need to say? Yeah, any questions at all, just let me know. I think that's it. should you put on short fat stem on the biggest pumpkin? Oh, thank you. See, I wasn't even seeing that. I was not even seeing that. Yes, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I would have seen it. You know, another thing you can do when you're done is take a picture and then it would have come. I would have seen it immediately. Yeah, that's so funny. Maybe this could be a little bit of the alizarin crimson in there. That's probably what I would do. I would put alizarin crimson and then put a little red, because these aren't really, well, I don't know if they are. A lot of times if I need to see what something looks like, I'll go pull it up and get a reference, because right now I'm just pulling this out of my head and I could be totally wrong. But anyway, that is it. Oh, I didn't put blue on the bottom of the on the bumper. Let me do that. Please drop your links here to find, so the girls can find you. Yes, I will. I will do that. I'll come back in and do that and I'll revise my comment and add that in. Is that okay, Bonnie? All right, so I'm just taking a little bit of my phthalo blue and black and white and making I don't know, a bluish gray, I guess. Bluish gray. It got a little thick, so I'm adding a little water. Again, anytime you're painting a line, you need it to flow or it won't go. I also twirl my brush through there, and I'm just gonna hit the bottom-ish portion of that. To give it that chromy look. I think I also used a bit of a reflective color, like something a little yellowish. I guess it could be green. It's not gonna kill us, right? All right, that's it, you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Oh, let me say goodbye. Sorry I went over. That's what I tend to do. Oh, goodness me. Hold on. Hey, there I am. So anyway, yes. So here's this one. Oh, gosh, getting a message. Here's this one, right? And here's the one we did today. A shorter, wider version. But I like it, I like it. And anyway, I'll come back in and drop my links. And thank you so much, you guys. I hope you try this one. If you do it, please share it. If you're on the Instagram, share it on Instagram with, what do we call it? Fall Pumpkin Truck, hashtag Fall Pumpkin Truck. And I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks a lot for having me, Bonnie. Bye.